This is the first in a new series of handicapping tips for Marco. Now, Marco, when we were talking and we said you wanted to give something back, you know, you've really, you do podcasts, you do videos, and we want something that is evergreen, meaning that it's going to be applicable now, next month, next year, and we're going to create a library of this stuff. Now, my first thought was to do like a Julia Child's type cooking show. Get the camera set up in your kitchen. We could see the special way you prepare your various Italian dishes. But you say you'd rather do this. So what's the first subject?
Well, I would be just too busy eating in the other one. I mean, nobody would get
But
to hear
Julia
it.
Childs was too.
We're going to take a look at, and we're talking basketball for this series, and we're going to talk about TV games. Now, obviously, everybody loves to bet TV games. You like to watch and have your money in action. And that's fine. I will tell you, first off, that for that particular game, what I'm doing here, this exercise is for future games. To use that TV game you're watching that night, how to use it to your benefit in your next wagers. But remember the games that you are watching. TV games have generally the tightest lines because Vegas knows what games are on national TV, and they know they're going to get the most public money in the books. So be careful with the lines. Don't fall for the public perception plays. You're going to be paying a premium for those.
So let's back up, because what you just said, and you might have used the wrong word, but what you just said is contradictory. You're saying the tightest lines, and then you're saying the most public influence lines. So those are two different things. So I think what you're saying is the lines are going to be set up. There's going to be a lot of traps set in those
that's better
games,
right.
which means as a handicapper, being a contrarian is going to give you a better chance to win these TV games than just the average game.
Absolutely. Now, the tips that I'm going to give you is when you are watching your TV game, watch the game with open eyes to set you up for plays in their next game. And the things that I like to look at is people love to bet with their eyes, what they see. They draw a conclusion. They could see a team play one time, and if they happen to play well that one game, in their mind, that team's good for the next 6 or 7 games. Watch with the open mind, and I don't want to use my old adage, but it applies. Nobody's as good as their best game, nor are they as bad as their worst. If you see a team that came off at just an absolute blew the doors off somebody, it's a good situation to look to fade them in the next game. And the reason being, RJ, is it's a public game. Everybody saw it. That team gets psyched because they were on TV. So they're going to have a step down in intensity themselves, the team that had the blowout. Now, because of public perception, they're laying a bigger number because Vegas knows the public saw that performance. So the value is really going against that team in their next game.
So there's a premium and the market's moving the line up, but the very fact that there's a letdown is going to move the performance down.
Right. The other one, and this is one of my absolute favorites. When there's teams on TV, always you're going to have the Big East, the ACC, the marquee matchups all the time in college basketball. But sometimes you're going to get these games where they're an out-of-conference game, but it's a big game because of one of the teams. One of the teams is only on TV because of who they're playing. You see those kind of things happen in football with Notre Dame, and in basketball there's certain teams. UCLA gets TV coverage, different teams, or Duke. So you might have an inferior team as a home underdog that generally doesn't play on TV. That team is going to be sky high for that one game because the ESPN camera crews don't come to town that often. It's an electric atmosphere. I love when one of those teams plays balls out, takes that team to the limit, but comes up short. Because the public perception then in that team's next game is, oh my God, they almost beat Duke, and now they're like a 4 or 5 point marginal home favorite.
So you're getting the premium on them, and you're getting the letdown from just having played a big game, but even a bigger letdown because they lost the game.
Absolutely. That is just one of my favorite scenarios. So that's my tip this week for you, is use these TV games to help set up your plays. And whenever I talk about, you always hear me talk, I'm a situational handicapper. These are the kind of things that fall into situations. These are what I'm looking for. And you can look for those things too.
Now, do we have time for you to explain how you grow asparagus? Or
No, we'll have to do that on another segment.
you use sea salt though, right?
Sea salt and olive oil, extra virgin.
Now, I will make one last point before we close out here. Here's the best advice you could ever get on TV games. Set aside a bet size for TV games that is recreational. So if you bet 500 on a normal game, make it 55. That way you can get the thrill, but in your mind you have a delineation between a game that you're betting as an investment and a game you're betting as a recreation. And you can bet a TV game as an investment, but make sure it meets that next level of criteria, because again, the best way to lose your money is to bet just because the game's on TV. Marco, I love what you're talking about though. The idea of the fact that you're drawn to watch that game and maybe put a little bet on it is something that you can dig. You can use that experience to be informed for the next game. You know, I was going to make the point, I didn't, and I'll make it real quick. I think there's one more thing that even makes it even better, is if you have a team that plays extra well, and again, you're getting that letdown, that overvaluation, and there was something fluky about them playing extra well. And in basketball, it's a little different. In football, it can be a lot of turnovers that can make a result fluky. In basketball, it can be just the other team shot poorly. It's not so much that the defense was in their face and it was a bunch of contested shots, but teams, there's a randomness to some degree in outside shooting. If you have a team that looks better than they should, it's one thing if they look good and legitimately played good. I think your concepts are valid even then, because they're never as good as their best game. But if they look good, there's going to be a premium on them, but it's deceiving how good they played because of bad shooting. I think you have a perfect storm for value going against the next game. All right, you can continue the conversation with Marco and me in the comments section, and we'll be back in this continuing series with other tips from Marco. See you then.